August 5th, a.m. Sunset couldn't sleep that night. She wasn't sure why. It was raining, and the steady patter of rain was something she always loved. She loved it as a filly sleeping next to Princess Celestia. She loved it as the teenage mare studying for her future. It was one of the few comforts she had while living in the abandoned warehouse while plotting her eventual conquering of the universe. It was something she loved, and now, next to two of the people on this earth that she loved so much, she could hear the steady beat of rain coming. It had been her personal nighttime serenade for so many years, and as she lay beside the slightly dozing Riley and Octavia, things would be right and perfect, should they not? Getting up from the bed, something told her otherwise. She still wasn't sure if it was what the humans called their sixth sense, or her unicorn's sense of magical intuition, but something told her that the precipitation was unnatural. Sir, there was a logical scientific reason behind it. It was part of Hurricane Everblue as it made its way up California coast. What this just did, Hurricane Everblue, by everything she noted, wasn't anything that could be considered a normal element of nature. For starters, it was something more akin to the east coast of the U.S. than the west. The waters of the northern Pacific Ocean were far too cold for a storm to be able to operate as it did. Secondly, even discounting the above, the geography of the continental shelf prevented such storms from occurring. There were only two recorded storms that hit the California coast, Long Beach in 1939 and San Diego in 1958. So any kind of cyclonic storm in California waters would be big news. Yet, Hurricane Everblue had chewed through most of California in the past few days and was expected to make landfall and break out somewhere around the Oregon forest. Just what the current records had predicted, but everything about the storm was wrong. Sunset grabbed her laptop and headed downstairs for some research. Maybe she just read about the figures things like this being happenstance somewhere else in this world. She now called home. She'd feel more at ease about it. Sonny, what are you doing up? Seated at the kitchen table over a laptop and papers, drinking from both coffee and something that was not coffee, was why I velvet. Sweetheart, it's 3 in the morning. You sure you want to be up? Sunset sat down and gave her mother a smile. I could say the same about you. What'd you say? Velvet said with a hint of a smile. Unfortunately, I'm looking over the security measures of our social services. Given the fact that we're one of the largest counties in the state, you can imagine how many children we have in a fostering situation. Certain firehand girls notwithstanding. What scares me is that our previous standards, which were good enough in the past, are antiquated compared to some of the southern counties, like Los Angeles or Orange, she groaned, slapping on a small pile of documents. I'm lucky my predecessor retired. He had been exonerated by some of the things I'm reading now, and while the media might give me a pass on this, it's only a matter of time until the local politicals decide to drag me over the coals. So he reached over to the bottle of cinnamon whiskey and poured some in her coffee. Want some? Sunset pointed at, Mom. Velvet giggled. One, I'm sure I could count on you not to tell county social services that your foster and soon-to-be adopted mother gave you alcohol. 2, we're at home, so it's borderline legal due to privacy reasons, at least from that standpoint. And 3, I trust you, Sonny. Frankly, sometimes you act like you're older than Katie. In that case, sir, Sunset said, sitting down on her laptop and grabbing a mug from the cupboard. Pouring some coffee, she sat down next to Velvet, who poured a bigger dose than she poured for herself. Careful, this shit's potent, Velvet continued. Sunset laughed. First drinking, now swearing. Are you trying to be a reverse role model? Velvet gave her daughter a loaded look. Says the girl who's sexually versed, has been blackmailing people for years in an all-around terror. Sonny, you hardly need any practice from me. If anything, I'm glad you've been able to get your sister and cousin to relax a little more. Sometimes I think they gotten too much of your father's family in them. A thoughtful look crossed her face as she admitted, then again, given my behavior when I was your age and older, maybe then I'd be too much of a bad thing at all. How so? Sunset closed her laptop and listened. In the past, she paid attention to every detail, in order to make sure she got the good blackmail material. Now she just wanted to know more about this wonderful woman she now called a mother. Well, that, and maybe get a little blackmail material. But she figured Velvet was smart enough to keep the really good stuff in. Well, I'm sure you've heard about all the stuff Tia and I did in high school, or how Luna spent 4 years trying to catch up. Then when we were at college, it was that all over again. It didn't cause Tia and Lou to go blows like they did in the past. The effects of Tia's previous relationship and the impact of Luna wanting to grow up a little too fast didn't help either. I'm not going into detail because they do deserve their privacy, and they are your teachers. But let's just say you're in your early 20s, drunk as hell in a wet t-shirt contest. Your mother won't hold it against you because she knows it all too well. Sunset drank the mixed coffee and whiskey. The bite of the cinnamon was sharp and masked the alcohol well. Seeing the even look on her face, Phil would ask, I want the truth, Sonny, and obviously you won't get in trouble. How much experience in life do you have? How much have you been hurt by your previous, caretaker? And why does he feel that you could trust me enough to tell me? Sunset looked at her shocked. I could Velvet even think Sunset didn't trust her. However, the older woman explained, You never talk about your past, like you're deliberately hiding it. You've been living with us for nearly a year now. You should know that we love you, Sonny. You are part of this family and will always be there for you. You have no need to hide anymore, not for those who love you. Sunset wasn't sure to say. She couldn't tell her everything, not yet. Not until there was a way for her to explain without her family running into trouble. And to tell her everything she did since her arrival on Earth would make things woefully incomplete. Plus, what she had told them before, about a mentor that had picked her up practically out of nowhere, wasn't exactly a lie. But without verifiable information, it was virtually indistinguishable from one. She found herself in the same trap she always was, afraid to lie to the people she loved, but unable to tell them the truth because it was so outlandish and dangerous. I had my first real alcoholic experience when I was 13 years old. It had been true in both senses of the word. As a filly, she had been given the wrong kind of apple cider at a palace celebration. Celestia had nursed a drunken Sunset back to sobriety, and then had to explain what had happened to her. As a young human teenager, she had gone to a party where alcoholic drinks had been served. It had been at Flash Sentry's house, and unsurprisingly, his parents weren't home. She later found out it was part of his plan to bed her even back then, but it could be argued that Flash was beyond help even at that age. It was also the same night I lost my virginity. Look, you know I haven't had it easy. It took me a long time to trust people, not to mention acting like a normal person. But it's not because I don't trust any of you. I don't think I could have had a better life if it wasn't for you at all. And Twilight and Taffy mean the world to me. Having two people I can always share my life with means everything. I just don't want you to think ill of me. That much was true. Sunset would never want to hurt her loved ones if it was the last thing she did on this world. Velvet, realizing she wasn't going to get anywhere at the moment, changed tracks. So again, we get to the question. What are you doing up so late? Sunset finished off her drink and then told her, couldn't sleep. Plus I wanted to know how much the hurricane will affect Twilight's birthday. This is important for her and all our friends are coming. I don't want it to be ruined. A subtle smile came over Velvet's countenance. Are you and Taffy ready for this? As much as we can be, Sunset admitted. Taffy's taking her out to breakfast while Pinky comes over to help with the decorations. Everyone should be here by 2 in the afternoon. Okay, that should be plenty of time for the fire department to prepare. Mom, just kidding, sweetheart. Now, go get some sleep and worry about it in the morning, okay? You just poured me some whiskey and coffee. I'm gonna be wired for a while. No, he doesn't have whiskey and decaf. Trust me, I like to get some sleep as well, Sunset said with a wink. So, get upstairs and get some sleep, young lady. Sunset grinned, got up and kissed her mother on the cheek. Okay, I know when I'm beat. Night, Mom. Pleasant dreams, sweetheart. Bud, Melody Tran said to no one in particular, I need to be entertained. Med, shut up, Cartala hissed. I'm trying to sleep. Lad, you could see. Finish that sentence or you'll be withstanding duties for every evening until we're not filled up. Understand? But Alto! That's an order, Med. Medley sighed, fine. I'll just go outside and play with myself in the rain. Then if I get sick, I can say it's your fault because you don't play with me. Whatever, Cartala mumbled. I'm not sure we can't get sick anyway. Frustrated, Medley slipped on a t-shirt and gym shorts and headed to the door, taking the time to flip out Contaro, who probably didn't see anything because he drifted back to sleep. She stepped out into the rain. It was warm and soft like a lover's kiss. It only frustrated Medley all the more. It had been at least a couple days since her last fun, and as Sirens he had been only agreed to it since her girlfriend had been on duty that night. Medley smiled. If only Petty Officer Smoke had known that Medley had slipped with her partner the night before. So he walked away from the barracks, down to the central courtyard of the facility, still surrounded by construction equipment and the appearance of something being built above ground. The truth was that the subterranean complex was nearly complete and ready for full operations. Once finished, the new Siren base would be impregnable to anything short of a full nuclear strike. Anyone intending to raid it would be dead before they even reached the second level. Medley had stopped in the middle of the courtyard to see another woman, lying down on a towel, letting the rain fall on her. She was gorgeous, and Medley found that she couldn't take her eyes off the woman's curves. She was wearing gym gear that left almost nothing to the imagination. From the choke white t-shirt Sid's bra, to the hints of the black lacy underwear that partially showed through the gray of the RCN gym shorts. With the water pulling around her, she looked a lot like the famous image of Ophelia laying in the river as she drowned, and something about that turned Melody on fierce. Still, she knew this woman had to be polite. "Fancy meeting you out here, Lieutenant Spike." Lieutenant Sunray Spike, leader of the Siren Team 2, grinned without opening her eyes, her chevron pink hair framing her honey brown skin and soft red scrolling eyes. "Like what you see, Seaman Trance?" Millie didn't see a word, but she didn't have to. The fact that she stood there in the rain over the lieutenant said it all. Sonari opened a delicate eye and grinned breastly. "I've had my eye on you, Seaman Trance, or is it Medley? Do you know how unfair it is watching you enlisted girls having all the fun and me being the lone officer? Unattached, unentertained." She sat up, letting the rain flow down every curve of her body, caressing it, practically worshipping it. "Wait, could it be? Can I finally enjoy a near-naked woman without something horrifying happening in this fic?" "Trixie's not going to put money on it." "Am I so unsightly I can't have anyone of my own, Medley?" Medley's early interest turned into acute need. "No, ma'am." "You could just call me Sonnery, Ari." She ran a delicate finger across her lips, licking with the desire of someone who knew exactly what she wanted. "Or is there something else you wanted to call me?" She stood up, letting Medley have a full view of her feminine bounty. Too bad there's those fraternization rules preventing enlisted and officers from, well, fraternizing. A pout came to Medley's face, one she didn't even know she had, but Sonnery just giggled and said, "However, you and I are both sadistic specialists, correct? We have to be, in order to get the information we need. But those skills get rusty if they're not used, don't you agree?" Medley nodded, almost as an involuntary motion, her body on automatic, her mind entirely focused on the sexual being in front of her. Sonnery bent down to whisper Medley's ear, "Seaman Trance, I am out of practice. As an officer, that just won't do. So I request, no, I order you to assist me in getting up to speed." She sealed the deal with a gentle nip on the girl's ear and said, "Now if you follow me, I know just the place where we can practice unimpeded. It's the place up just for my needs, you know." Sonnery ran her hands down the front of Medley's shirt, stopped just at the drawstrings of her shorts. "Would you like me to repeat that order?" "No, Sonnery," Medley said with a wide smile coming to her face. "Maybe this night won't be as bad as I thought." "Sorry." "Oh, yes, we shall." Sonnery sighed huskily. She could feel herself getting wet over the thought. And it wasn't due to the rain. "We're gonna make this a day to remember, Medley," she said just before her lips touched Medley's. Meanwhile, oh, come on! I finally get a chance to enjoy some naked women, and this Vic decides to take it from me. Teaser. No! There weren't too many things settled alike, she told herself. For starters, being a boy with a name that was originally male but mostly used by females didn't help much. That was his mother's fault, he knew. Secondly, he loved having his grass green hair and thick ropey dreadlocks. Until Jugglebeat swore the same hairstyle and he took shit for that. Lastly, most of the student body CHS thought he was gay, because he was one of the few boys at the school that wasn't in a relationship and had been a member of the club. Of course, the truth had been more nuanced than that. For starters, he could proudly say he was one of the few with an alibi. Granted, he was still kind of miffed that Cloud Kicker had moved away, but supposedly she had found true love. And given that she once admitted to him that she might have made their affections more permanent, wasn't for the fact she fell in love with Final Scratch. Sandalwood found that to be bullshit. He didn't think Cloud was the kind of girl who could love anyone.
Hey, Woody!
A voice rang out. Sandalwood turned to see his father, proposed idea, walk into the room.
Got those pancakes done, son?
Yeah, sure thing, Dad, the boy said, as we were sliding some pancakes off the grill onto a nearby plane. So, how long you gonna be gone?
Should be gone about a week or two. Tops, the man said. Going to meet with some fundraisers. If I'm going to run against the Quorum Call in the next election, I'm going to need to be top of my game. And for starters, that means meeting with these folks.
Plus, the wives need to be entertained, and that's why I come in. Into the kitchen came his stepmother, Sweet Pastry, an elegant and refined woman. Pastry had been one to make his father happy after the divorce. Besides, it had been years since his real mother had since he moved to Seattle, and though he kept in contact, it had been Pastry that had been a help. Sandalwood set the plates on the table in front of his father, his stepmother in his own spot. He went over to make a fourth batch. After all, the last person in the house hadn't gotten up yet. There was a yawn, and a voluptuous girl wearing nothing but a long t-shirt and underwear wandered into the kitchen, headed straight for the coffee. Since she was not wearing a bra and had on lacy underwear, she may as well have been undressed. Coffee, what did I say about coming to the table dressed like that? Pastry asked. Oh, that shit's good, she said as she drank from her coffee mug, politely ignoring the woman. She reached over and patted Woody on the shoulder. Good job, little bro. Thanks, Sandalwood said, blessing. Coffee cream, I asked you a question, Pastry said. Mom, I swear it's probably a nothing idea, or Woody you hadn't seen via porn or real life. Besides, I'm 23. I'm fuckable and I get to flaunt it. She sat down at the table, looking at her mother and stepfather. Besides, we're family, right? Pastry sighed. Dear, you know that idea is running for office, and your behavior could be problematic for the campaign. You know that someone like Senator Quorum Call would use anything he can find to attack him. She rolled her eyes. Mom, I'm studying pre-med. If they're going to pick on a college student, you guys can easily say that Call campaign goes after families and has no sense of dignity. Trust me, the public will eat it up. She turned to Sandalwood. What do you think, bro? Sandalwood looked frustrated. I guess, was all he said. The family ate in relative silence, with the morning radio playing on, ignoring the day's news. Finally, Idea finished and looked at his watch.
Better get going, sweetie, he told Pastry. Our flight leaves in an hour, and the taxi should be here any minute.
The minute he finished his words, the horn sounded outside. Both adults got up.
You guys gonna be okay?
Yeah, we'll be fine, Coffee assured her stepfather, giving a genuine smile. It'd be great to spend time with Woody, just me and my little Belle. She reached over and put an arm around him. Okay, but remember what I said, Coffee, Pastry told her daughter. She gave both her daughter and stepson a peck on the cheek and said, we'll bring you back some souvenirs from Boston. You do that, Coffee commented with a wink, watching as they grabbed her bags and headed out the door. Walking to the taxi, Pastry said, You know, despite the fact that Coffee cannot behave herself at times, I blame my ex for that. She really does love Woody. He's a little brother she always wanted, I guess. Idea reads the pair as they race the taxi.
I know, and I'm glad. I just hope that she doesn't get jealous when her little brother finally finds himself a girlfriend.
Sandalwood and Coffee continued to eat their breakfast in silence. Finally, he picked up the dishes from the table, put them in the sink, and began to wash them. Strangely enough, he felt relaxed and yet excited for what was to come next. A second later, he felt his arm slither around his waist, and a voice whisper in his ear. "They're gone. We can relax now." Sandalwood turned to kiss Coffee. "What?" He acted long and deep until they were both breathless. "Trixie, do I have to do the joke?" "We have to do the joke." "Since we're not related, it'll be okay." "You don't know how long I've missed that." He smiled and ran a finger across his chin. "I've missed you too." The two then kissed once more. Their actions and emotions of two lovers that had been together for years wasn't off the mark. After all, their relationship had started 3 years ago when Sandalwood had just started puberty and exploring his body. What? What? "I'm gonna go home." And Coffee came home, half drunk, and walked in on the shower. As they were both home while their parents were on vacation, the two talked, smoked some weed, got a little drunk, and the next morning found themselves in the same bed, horrified to realize that they had given each other their virginity that night. But the 20-year-old woman and the 13-year-old boy. "Okay, so I'm going to call some numbers." They slept alone in separate beds the next night, but talked about it the next day over some fine bud and booze. And upon that moment, an agreement was reached. In public, they'd be step-siblings. When they were alone together, however, they became very much in love. And 911! Even now, they had discussed their future as of late. Sandalwood had intended to do his college years in Rhode Island, the only state in the Union that will allow their relationship to be. Likewise, Coffee intended to intern there as well, and once all went fine, they would make their relationship permanent. At this point, the 7 years difference between the two were unimportant to them, and now that he was 16, he was well at the age of consent. And to the beautiful girl in his arms, this wasn't Coffee Cream, his stepsister. Right now, that person didn't exist. This was Coffee Cream, his longtime girlfriend, and the girl he wanted to marry as much as she wanted him. "Wouldn't you rather go to Alabama?" She broke off the kiss, albeit reluctantly. "As much as I want to continue this wedding, unfortunately, I have a touring session with Emerald Place in a couple of hours." "So you say you don't have time with me?" He kissed her on the neck, tracing her path down. She sighed in pleasure, her body shuddering in delight. "You know you're the only man I could ever love," she told him, looking him right in between the eyes. "You know you're the woman I intend to marry," he told her, kissing her on the neck. His hands went down, under her shirt, and removing it. "And I can't even enjoy a hot, half-naked woman." "Your bedroom or mine?" "The guest bedroom." As he breathed, "For the next week or two, it'll be our bedroom." Slipping off her remaining clothing, she allowed him to pick her up and carry them across the house, headed towards the stairs. The guest room, in utter ecstasy. "Please, God, cut to Twilight, cut to Twilight, cut to Twilight!" "You're being quiet," Twilight said to Octavia as both sat, "Thank God," looking over their breakfast menus. As part of the plan to keep Twilight out of everyone's hair while they prepared for the birthday party, Octavia was dragging her cousin all over the place. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, sorry, just thinking about Sunny," Octavia answered. "I know. I got you worried about her too. You should have been there yesterday. Rose was very unstable, and yet Sunny went in to try to help anyway. Rose's girlfriend Barry told me that Rose tried to hit on Sunny, and didn't know that Sunny's straight. Still, even after she carries a torch. And then Barry told me Rose was going to make a pass at Sunny again. But Barry wasn't worried because Sunny's, well, you know." The team musician sighed. "Can you explain to me why every one of our friends we've met through Sunny is certifiable? There's the triplets, who are here and gone. Lila, who seems to think that unicorns are actually real. Trixie, well, that's like Fluttershy when she's not talking the third person after some ego-tripping athlete from hell. And all these two. Plus the lunatic at San Fran. Sleep Pea? Oh, and don't get me started on Pinky." "That's not nice, Tavi," Twilight admonished. "We just happen to know a lot of unique people is all." "No, unique is calming and fleur," Don't get me wrong, I like them. We know who's so clearly classified as weird. Taffy, what's wrong? Twilight said so clearly that her cousin focused on her. Violet eyes to Violet, almost not noticing as the waiter arrived. As they both quickly gave their orders and the waiter wandered off, Twilight began, This isn't like you. I never known you to really say anything bad about anyone. Blueblood and Final Scratch being the exceptions. Octavia paused in mid-speech. Instead, she spooned more sugar into her coffee, drank, and then sat down to the breathing technique Cadence had taught them both a long time ago. Inhaling, she brought her forearm close, then moving it back as she exhaled. Okay, I haven't seen you do that in years, Twilight told her. You're worrying me. Twilight, do you love me still? Octavia asked. Twilight blinked, took a drink of her own coffee, and blinked again. What kind of question is that? You're my cousin, my best friend, and has been as much a sister to me as Katie has been for my whole life. Of course I love you, Taffy. I can't believe you're even asking that. What the heck brought this on? I remember the girl who was shy and always used to rely on me for help. I don't see her anymore. Now I see a girl, brilliant and fierce, able to stand on her 2 feet on... doesn't see me. She then looked out the window of the restaurant as he added, I used to feel like the one who was always there when you needed me. Now I feel like the one left behind. That's a lie and you know it. Yes, like I told you before, Sunny's been an influence on both of us. You and me. We've been an influence on her as well. You were just talking to her yesterday, weren't you? Twilight reached over and took her cousin's hand in her own. But that doesn't mean I don't need you anymore. It's never gonna mean that. You and I grew up together. We spent practically all our lives together. You're as much my best friend and sister as you are my cousin, Taffy. I know it's been a lot of change dumped on us the past year, but things are going to stabilize soon. It's not like you're alone. You have a family that loves you and is always there for you. We're not giving up on you, Taffy, just because Sunny's in the picture. Don't ever think that, okay? Octavia's smile seemed sincere, but the truth of it was, she wasn't sure if it ever could be. Part of her mind repeatedly told her it was all the fault of one person alone. Sunset Shimmer, the family fraudster, the cousin converter, the sister stealer. Within her heart, a part of Octavia knew that was true, trying to stick up for the soon-to-be adopted cousin she cared about so much. But within the deepest recesses of her soul, a dark, bitter flame built, one that hungered and threatened to snuff out any light. It could only be sated by blood. The blood of Sunset Shimmer.